Hi again, Ngong from Happiness Education. I'm a registered migration agent. Kuzo Zangbola. In today's session, I want to talk about bridging visas. I'm sure many of you don't know, but there are about 6 bridging visas. Many of us have heard about bridging visa A, bridging visa B, and to a certain extent bridging visa C. Now different bridging visas have different functions and different entitlements. So I just wanted to quickly touch upon some of the prominent visas in terms of more functionalities and more entitlements. For example, bridging visa A, that's the most powerful, you may call it powerful, or the most visa amongst the bridging visa that has the most entitlement and functions compared to all. So I'll just break down all these bridging visas, especially bridging visa A, B and C, so that everybody of us are on the same page of understanding. So before I jump into the different visa categories, now bridging visa, the name itself, bridging Siladalu, it's sort of a transition, it's not a substantive visa. By the way, substantive visa is a visa that is in effect, and you may also call it an active visa that is being held by the visa applicant. For example, a student who holds a subclass 500 while studying, student visa, that student visa is his substantive visa. So bridging visa, when you say bridging visa is primarily a visa that is being given to an individual who has a substantive visa which is either in effect or active, or the substantive visa has expired and that particular visa applicant has applied for another substantive visa. So he or she is making the transition from one visa to another visa. So that transition phase visa is the bridging visa that is being given to the visa applicant, so that he or she can legally stay in Australia until a decision on the substantive visa application is made. So amongst the bridging visas, bridging visa A is the most prominent in terms of its entitlements that it offers to the visa applicants. It lets you stay legally in Australia, it gives you work rights, and it also gives you Medicare benefits. Medicare benefits are benefits that permanent resident holders get in Australia. So somebody who has applied for example, a visa 189 skill independent visa or a 190 state nominated visa. So if somebody has applied for a PR related visa, bridging visa A gives you that health benefits in the form of Medicare. Now moving on to bridging visa B. Bridging visa B is very similar to bridging visa A in terms of entitlements, but it does have one added advantage. Bridging visa B allows you to travel legally when a decision on your substantive application is being made. Bridging visa A doesn't give you that comfort. If you are on a bridging visa A, you have to apply for a bridging visa B before you leave. If you don't do that and leave Australia on bridging visa A, then your bridging visa A will cease to be in effect, and this will hamper your substantive visa application. Moving on to bridging visa C. Now this bridging visa C is an interesting one, and some of you might have been exposed to this knowingly or unknowingly. The reason why I say this is because let's take an example. Let's take a student visa holder who has not been able to complete his studies within the given visa period. Why? Say that student missed one semester of studies due to failing health or personal problems. So that student did not do one semester, and then he is short to graduate by 6 months, and his visa will be expiring. So what happens in this case? So what happens in this case is that we need to apply for a new student visa for that particular student to cover that shortfall, because there's nothing like a student visa extension. Like, you just can't go into the system and click on a button that says request for extension of student visa by 6 months. We need to apply for a new student visa application. That's the standing norm. So what happens is, when you apply for a new student visa for that particular student to cover that gap, that student gets issued a bridging visa A. And now the other thing to note is that a bridging visa A that gets issued to the student by default is not active or in effect, because his substantive visa is in effect. Bridging visas come into effect only when the substantive visa application ends. This is important to understand. If you have taken a look at your bridging visa A grant closely when you had applied for another substantive visa application, you will always see a remark that says not active. But it gets activated on the day your substantive visa application expires. For example, in this particular student's case, short by 6 months, say as like a semester. So you see, it is always advisable to lodge a new student visa application a bit early if you know that you have missed a semester, you're not able to finish your studies within that confirmed visa period that was granted to you earlier. So you should not wait till the last minute to get that thing done, because it creates complications, which I will explain later on. So one complication that can potentially arise, especially for student visas, are those students who are eligible to apply for a temporary graduate visa 485. Now that's same case, missed studies by a semester, lost 6 months, and then applied for a new student visa at the last minute. No decision is being taken. So now as part of the temporary graduate visa eligibility requirements, you have to apply for the temporary graduate visa within 6 months of completion of your course. So depending on the time frame, if you do not do it within 6 months, then you don't fulfill the eligibility requirements. So now in this particular case, you already are waiting for a decision to be taken on your student visa application, and you're already in your bridging visa A, and then 6 months time is running out. You have you potentially have no other options left, but you need to apply. And so when you apply a new substantive visa application, when you are holding a bridging visa A, then you get issued a bridging visa C. So you have two bridging visa acting in parallel at the same time. One, bridging visa A for your new student visa application. Second, bridging visa C for your temporary graduate visa application.
So say your new student visa application gets approved by immigration, and when that happens, your bridging visa A will cease to be in effect, because your new student visa application, that is your substantive visa, has been approved. Now when this happens, the bridging visa C will also cease to be in effect, because your substantive visa is now the most prominent visa that is applicable in your case. So what happens? Your temporary graduate visa application is nullified. It doesn't exist in the system. So because of these issues, then you have to apply for another temporary graduate application based on the strength of your new substantive visa, your new student visa. So these are the complications that can arise when you do things last minute, like applying for a new student visa, at the last minute. So this is how bridging visas A, B, C operate, and it is important to know about these things, because for example, in this case, you have to apply for temporary graduate twice, paying the visa applications twice, and probably paying the consultants their service charges twice. So see, these issues can be avoided if you plan better.